In guitar music, a power chord play is a chord that consists of the root note and the fifth. Power chords are commonly played on amplified guitars, especially on electric guitar with distortion. Power chords are a key element of many styles of rock and especially heavy metal music. Analysis: when two or more notes are played through a distortion process that non-linearly transforms the audio signal, additional partials are generated at the sums and differences of the frequencies of the harmonics of those notes. When a typical chord containing such intervals is played through distortion, the number of different frequencies generated, and the complex ratios between them, can make the resulting sound messy and indistinct. This effect is accentuated as most guitars are tuned based on equal temperament, with the result that minor thirds are narrower, and major thirds wider, than they would be in just intonation. However, in a power chord, the ratio between the frequencies of the root and fifth are very close to the just interval 3-2. When played through distortion, the intermodulation leads to the production of partials closely related in frequency to the harmonics of the original two notes, producing a more coherent sound. The intermodulation makes the spectrum of the sound expand in both directions, and with enough distortion, a new fundamental frequency component appears an octave lower than the root note of the chord played without distortion, giving a richer, more bassy and more subjectively powerful sound than the undistorted signal. Even when played without distortion, the simple ratios between the harmonics in the notes of a power chord can give a stark and powerful sound, owing to the resultant tone effect. Power chords also have the added advantage of being relatively easy to play, allowing fast chord changes and easy incorporation into melodies and riffs. Terminology: theorists are divided on whether a power chord can be considered a chord in the traditional sense, with some requiring a chord to contain a minimum of 3 degrees of the scale. When the same interval is found in traditional and classical music, it would not usually be called a chord, and may be considered a dyad. However, the term is accepted as a pop and rock music term, most strongly associated with the overdriven electric guitar styles of hard rock, heavy metal, punk rock, and similar genres. The use of the term power chord has, to some extent, spilled over into the vocabulary of other instrumentalists, such as keyboard and synthesizer players. Power chords are most commonly notated 5/4. For example, C5, or C, no 3, refer to playing the root and fifth. These can be inverted, so that the G is played below the C. They can also be played with octave doublings of the root or fifth note, which makes a sound that is subjectively higher pitched with less power in the low frequencies, but still retains the character of a power chord. Another notation is ind, designating the chord as indeterminate. This refers to the fact that a power chord is neither major nor minor, as there is no third present. This gives the power chord a chameleon-like property. If played where a major chord might be expected, it can sound like a major chord, but when played where a minor chord might be expected, it sounds minor. History: power chords can be traced back to commercial recordings in the 1950s. Robert Palmer pointed to electric blues guitarists Willie Johnson and Pat Hare, both of whom played for Sun Records in the early 1950s, as the true originators of the power chord, citing as evidence Johnson's playing on Howlin' Wolf's How Many More Years, and Hare's playing on James Cotton's Cotton Crop Blues. Wray is often cited as the first mainstream rock and roll musician to have used power chords, with Rumble. A later hit song built around power chords was You Really Got Me by the Kinks, released in 1964. The song's riffs exhibit fast power chord changes. The Who's guitarist, Pete Townshend, performed power chords with a theatrical windmill strum, for example in My Generation. An example of the use of power chords is Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. On King Crimson's Red album, Robert Fripp thrashed with power chords. In the 1980s song You Might Think by the Cars, a power chord was performed by muting the strings and plucking the chord repeatedly. Techniques: power chords are often performed within a single octave, as this results in the closest matching of overtones. Octave doubling is sometimes done in power chords. Power chords are often pitched in a middle register. Shown are 4 examples of an F5 chord. A common voicing is the 1 to 5 perfect fifth, to which the octave can be added, 1-5-1. A perfect fourth 5-1 is also a power chord, as it implies the missing lower one pitch. Either or both of the pitches may be doubled an octave above or below, which leads to another common variation, 5-1-5. Spider chords equals. The spider chord is a guitar technique popularized during the 80s thrash metal scene. Regarded as being popularized by Dave Mustaine of Megadeth, it is used to reduce string noise when playing riffs that require chords across several strings. The chord or technique is used in the songs Wake Up Dead, Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, and Ride the Lightning. D5 BB5, E, B, G, D-7, A-5, 8, E6, 3.